The table was set the way it always was when my mother wanted something to feel official. Matching plates, the good glasses. Food that took hours so it could justify decisions that took seconds. She smiled when she said it. Not a sharp smile, a practiced one. "We're passing the cottage his parents gave you over to your sister." The sentence landed gently, like a folded napkin placed on my lap without asking. For a moment, I didn't understand it as a sentence. I heard fragments. Passing. Cottage your sister. My brain kept circling the word we. My sister laughed, quick and easy. Already bored of the topic. Relax. It's just a cottage. I noticed how my fork was halfway to my mouth and stayed there. How the room sounded louder than it should have. The ceiling fan clicked once per rotation, something I had never noticed before. I didn't say anything. I knew better than to rush. In my family, speed was weakness. Whoever reacted first lost control of the narrative. The cottage had been a wedding gift. His parents' idea. Something modest but deliberate. A place near the lake, old wood. Uneven floors, nothing luxurious. It came with conditions spoken carefully for you both, your future, something stable. It was never framed as family property. It was framed as ours. My mother reached for her glass, satisfied. She didn't look at me when she added, "It just makes more sense this way." Sense. That word had erased many things in my life. I glanced at my groom. He hadn't touched his food. He was looking, not at my mother, not at my sister, but at his own hands. Folded on the table as if he were counting something invisible. That silence unsettled me more than anger would had. In my head, a familiar argument started to rise. I could already hear myself explaining, defending, justifying my right to something I had never asked for in the first place. I imagined my sister rolling her eyes. My mother reminding me of everything she had done for me. The conversation narrowing until the real issue disappeared. So I did what I had learned to do over years of being talked over. Nothing. The rest of the dinner moved on as if the decision had been filed away, done. They discussed renovations, who might use it in summer. How my sister's kids would bring life back into the place. No one asked me if I agreed. Agreement was assumed through silence. That night, I lay awake listening to my groom breathe. I wanted to ask him why he hadn't said anything. I wanted reassurance, or maybe permission to be angry. Instead, I waited. In the morning, he made coffee like always. Then he said casually, "I'm going to call my father today." That was all. He didn't say to fix this. He didn't say because of your family. He didn't say don't worry. He said it the way someone says they're checking a document. Verifying a fact. The days that followed were quiet in a way that made me uneasy. My mother texted about curtains for the cottage. My sister sent links to furniture. I didn't respond. Not pointedly. Just slowly enough to be useless. Then an email arrived. Formal, polite. From a legal office I recognized from my in-laws' business matters. It requested confirmation of ownership records related to the property. Routine troll. Authority never announces itself loudly. It arrives with headers and reference numbers. My mother called that afternoon. Her voice was light, but thinner. "Do you know why someone is asking about the cottage paperwork? I assume it's because it belongs to us." I said. Silence. That silence was different from mine at dinner. This one searched for footing. "Well," she said eventually, "it's all family anyway." 2 days later, there was a meeting. Not a dramatic one, no raised voices, just my groom, his father, a lawyer, and documents spread neatly across a table that didn't belong to my mother. The facts were simple. The gift deed was clear. Conditions explicit. Transfer without consent wasn't possible. Use could be discussed. Ownership could not be reassigned. No one said you were wrong, no one needed to. When my mother was informed, she didn't apologize. She reframed, "I must have misunderstood," she said. "It was never my intention to upset anyone." My sister stopped joking about it. She stopped mentioning the cottage at all. The power didn't swing dramatically, it settled. Like dust after something heavy is set down. At the next family dinner, nothing was said about property. We talked about work. About weather. About neutral things. My mother was careful with her words now. My sister watched me in a way she hadn't before, as if measuring where the invisible lines were. I didn't feel triumphant. That surprised me. What I felt was quieter. Heavier. Like finally knowing the rules of a game I'd been playing blind. Later, alone with my groom, I asked him why he hadn't spoken up at dinner. He shrugged. There was no point. They weren't asking, they were announcing. I nodded. That felt accurate. What mattered, he added, was making sure reality was still reality. We never celebrated. There was no toast. No moment of vindication. The cottage remained what it had always been, a place. Wood, water nearby, a gift that carried intention. But something else shifted. Permanently. My family learned that my silence wasn't surrender. And I learned that dignity doesn't always look like resistance. Sometimes it looks like letting authority speak when emotions would only be swallowed whole.